Hello, has everybody found his or her place? Got comfy? Some people running around. But as it's a habit, we'll start a minute early. We'll make it a habit. A few opening words, I won't ramble on for long, but maybe a little bit about the event, why we decided to gather the awesomest software engineering community people here in Fortum's office today, is that we thought that there are some events here in Tartu, conveniently, where engineers can get together, share their experiences, but there are not too many. And we felt that, okay, maybe we should, that we want, and we feel that we really have something to share. And I sincerely hope that today's two talks will spark some conversation, and you can discuss stuff that happens when you work in the cloud, stuff that goes right, stuff that goes wrong, how to avoid the latter, and how to promote the former. So without too much rambling, as promised, I will give word to Martin Roos, who will give his intro himself.
Now the only thing that I have to figure out is where the hell are my slides? Somewhere hidden. Thomas, where did you put them? Thomas is hidden as well somewhere, right?
It's really hard to navigate here.
Yes. That's wow. That's not even me.
That's wow.
Yes. I can start while this the slides are being looked up. So my talk will be about being on call, and maybe in some companies that's not even a topic. If you make a box product that you just give to the customer and say you run it, then you don't really care. For us, it's a lot different in the sense that we are running our services in more than 90 countries. We have, I don't know how many merchants that are expecting our stuff to work. Don't know how many telcos who also expect our stuff to work.
I don't have your slides.
Why don't you have my slides?
I don't know.
Uh-huh. Well, I will find them then. Where did you? I will just have to find my fancy slides from somewhere. Wait. This is all very fun. I'm a really bad Mac user. Somebody saw me before, I was running around with the Lenovo. That's something that I know how it works. But yeah, Fortum is often referred to as a startup. Now I really read Thomas's help. Thomas, where are you? That thing expects something funny from me. Although Fortum sometimes is still being addressed as a startup, actually the company is almost 10 years old. We have over 60 people working for us. And if our services go down, let's say for one night, 12 hours roughly taken, then that actually means that the next day when we come to work, we should say, Tavi, you don't get your salary, because that's how much the night would cost us. Probably even more actually, because the company is also making actual profit and we have to pay all the bills and stuff ourselves. There is no angel investors paying for all of this. This is all that comes from our money. And so that actually makes the thing matter. We have to keep working all the time. 90 countries means that there is no point in time where all the clients are sleeping. There is no maintenance window where you can say, we will be just down for a long while and you just have to wait until we come back. Telcos sort of have this opportunity because like if Telia goes down in Estonia for, I don't know, 2 hours in the night where you're sleeping, nobody cares. For us, there is no night when the people in the Philippines wake up, the Brazilians haven't gone to sleep yet. Yeah, that's fine. Very nice. And yeah, that's like how on-call looks like. It would be really like this all the time if you wouldn't have the help of automation and a lot of logging and alerting. We are running over 300 servers in total. Over 200 of those are in production. And if you can imagine, like, if one machine has a chance to fail once in a year or 2 years, then if you have over 300 machines, something is constantly dying somewhere. It's not a question of like if it's going to happen today, but it's like on this week, roughly amount of machines will die. It's just going to happen, and like you really need automation to get yourself out of this. I'm having a really bad time with this map. So 2 weeks of my on call in the end of April and beginning of May. The first week I was fully on call, and the second week I was backup. Backup means that if the first person doesn't respond within a reasonable amount of time or just runs out of ideas, the backup like steps in instead of the main person. Within those 2 weeks, 79 tickets were closed in our Jira, meaning new feature requests, bug fixes, things that have to go to production. And that's just from the development chat, like the rest of the company, not included. They don't count in there. 37 deployments of old applications, which are mostly Ruby stuff, and 332 deployments of newer Java applications. This number here includes staging the deployments as well, so not exactly half it, but a bit more of those went to production. And you can imagine, like, over 200 servers, you make updates maybe to about a quarter of them during this 2 week phase. People expect actually business values to be delivered. So the chance of people breaking stuff is pretty high. Like there is high quality code and then there is interesting code and they both make live, and then you have to figure out if everything was even fine. If you're lucky, then you get errors from like mishaps when something blows up. If you're unlucky, then something else just happens instead of the expected result, but you don't even have errors or exceptions. You just see like, okay, now I have 20% less payments than I had yesterday. I have no errors. What happened? I don't know. But yeah, that number for 2 weeks is pretty good. I think we have roughly around 20 people in the engineering part. Quite many tickets per person per 2 weeks. So my call started with like coming back from vacation. I just had a free week. Coming back to the office, the first thing that I get is being on call. That's super awesome. That's like hitting you with a sledgehammer. Here, have it. Just take it. Had a small handover. Took a quick look at how the things are working right now. Just to get my head adjusted, because the week before I was just disconnected from the computers completely. This number 2 here, stopping and starting servers. If you're running stuff on Amazon, then you know that sometimes they send you an email that they say, this instance will go down for maintenance like after a week or 2 weeks. And if you're lucky, the email actually says that right now the machine is happy, but we need to upgrade it, maintain it, so it will restart and come back. If you're unlucky, the email says probably has stopped responding by now. That's when you go like, I need to really move my fingers fast now. That number here, 24, has been outdated by today. I wrote the slides yesterday and there have been 3 more alerts coming into the mailbox saying that those machines now at some point will go into reboot. Hopefully they will come back. That puts a few constraints at first you run applications. Even if you don't get this email, sometimes they still restart out of the blue. Whenever your servers come up, they have to start by themselves. You cannot be involved because, first of all, you like sleeping a lot. Sometimes you don't even notice when the machine goes and comes back, but if you don't restart by default your applications and things, then you will know at some point. And usually when Amazon sends those emails, they use shorthand for the time zone. They use PST. Usually, I think it means Pacific Standard Time or something like this. I personally call it pretty shitty time, because usually that means that I want to sleep at this time and they are restarting my machine. And that's not really a very good combination of things. Like there is a lack of, let's say, mutual respect in that sense. I understand for them it's working hours, for me no. And yeah, that thing's happening pretty often, especially have a bunch of servers. So the rest of the stuff that happened, the yellow stuff's almost fine. Docker was running a lot of different scenarios in the test server, eventually ran out of space. The way that you know this is that the developers actually will come crying to you. You also get an alert that the server's disk is full, and then you start to look around where it's even has gone, because at first you don't have really any idea. Turned out Docker was just using up all the space to give some kind of device mapper available for all the setups that it had, and there was no way to free the space. Not running Docker in production, by the way. I'm too scared of this thing. And then in staging, we had to restart 2 machines as well. Routine check on the RDS. If you know what RDS is, it's managed Postgres or MySQL, whatever you have on Amazon. Pretty comfortable service, but you still sometimes have to keep an eye on what it's even doing, because if you're hosting some service by yourself, you look at it, you pay attention what it's doing. If there's a hosted service, you go like, it will work. But that's also when you actually lose track if everything is okay. And there is a red dot over here. Message dumper 2 has died. This one just discovered sort of by accident when I was looking at the graph. I was seeing an anomaly and I was looking like, where has this service gone? And the message dumper is something that takes a bunch of messages from our message queue and dumps them into S3 for big data aggregation. S3 is too expensive to make single puts of items, so we collect a bunch of things at once and then we throw them in. And the messages are taken from a Rabbit message queue, and in there it's we pretty much open a transaction of things and we try to do it. And it's for us it's somewhat not standard consumer, the messages. And this application has had issues for a while, so died. Okay, fine, easy enough for me, just restart the app server, came back, considered it okay, annoying, we should fix it at some point. The day after, awesome, calm day. There's absolutely nothing crashing and dying. You go this is very nice compared to the previous day where you had something already dying. Tuesday was awesome. One email just spotted by random that the telco told us from Latvia that, hey, we are going to maintenance tomorrow at 4 o'clock in the morning. Yes! We really like those things. You go are they coming back after the maintenance? Because they usually say we are coming back, but you never know. Sometimes they don't connect anymore, or they say their IP has changed, stuff like this. This one actually surprisingly went really well. I could sleep through the night. I had prepared just to know what kinds of things are connected to their side, what do I have to restart in case they go sideways. But it worked out fine. That was awesome. So here's Wednesday. Bubbles again. Green is good, red is bad. So it said maintenance went fine. In the morning at 6 o'clock when I wake up, I check just what's going on. Sort of I don't expect everybody on call to do this, but for me it's a bit of standard that I just check that the world is not burning without alerting, because also alerting services can burn down and crash, and then you go why wasn't I told? Who is watching the watchers? But yeah, noticed anomaly of errors in the notification service that sends messages out to the merchants about if they should or should not give a service. And this one had really anomaly in the graphs when you visually looked at them, and then just contacted the merchant saying what exactly are you doing? And they said, oh, we are actually just integrating to your site. We don't have the endpoint enabled to kind of get the stuff. Then our logging stuff we handle with Elk and Graylog. Elk is Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. And Graylog is sort of sidekick that we use there. We pump the data from the Logstash into Graylog as well. And with Graylog, we just have automated alerting. So if you have a few applications, then to track them if they are doing good, you can use log files. Some simple stuff works really fine. If you have hundreds of servers, then you need to get out of that habit. It doesn't quite work for you. We have found out that, okay, we can push a lot of logs into the Graylog machine, and we have configured streams and alerts in there to tell us if we are actually having errors, exceptions in places we shouldn't have, like the central payment processing systems and such. And also, if the amount of things that we expect to happen doesn't happen. As I said before, like to spot the errors is really easy. To miss out on the fact that some part of your service actually doesn't do anything, it's just stored, is a lot harder. You have to count, like I should get that many payments per hour or per minute, that many notifications to the merchants. A lot of things to watch with like tens of services and hundreds of servers around. And yeah, we had issues with the previous Graylog servers, so we set up a new cluster, also changed the way how we pump the data over. Previously we were using log/forwarder, now we were on FileBeat. And this one will become important later on. This red dot here is sort of similar from the 2 frames back, but this time it's another server. This is message number 1, previous one was 2. It's like, okay, unstable stuff, looked into it, figured out that, okay, RabbitMQ connection, when it dies, for some reason on this service doesn't resurrect itself. Something wrong with the code, but you cannot fix everything at once, so just say, okay, we have a ticket now for this, look into it, fix it. As the end of the month was nearing, accounting is getting a bit of a beating. Both our sides and the merchants, they want to look up a lot of accounting data for this month already, just to get an idea what's going on, and if they are really that curious, then those, even like replica servers, they will run into issues just by having too much to do at once. And yeah, a few months back we had started to separate 2 databases. Like 3 weeks before this week, we actually separated them like physically really, so they had nothing in common anymore, but the old tables were still populated in both places, and since we had actually had to split the services and the databases, and the old tables were just outdated data, we considered, okay, let's drop them, let's clean it all up. And I pushed this one into our like ongoing sprint, aside from the normal work. But first off, I was getting alerts about databases running out of space, and secondly, old data is a really bad thing. People start to join and use it, in their queries, and they go like, I don't know what you're even counting there anymore, please just don't look at it. And if you drop the tables, well, problem solved. So, Thursday. Message number has died again. It's really getting annoying. And you press the ticket into the next sprint. We have to fix it now, quickly, really. And yeah, then something else interesting happened. I went outside to Ristisa, around this corner there, the eating place. Ordered myself a nice burger that I had on the month special. And when I was starting to eat it, I got a beep on my phone saying the chef server is gone. And not the chef of the Ristisa, but actually the chef server that we used to run our machines. And then you're there with the food, and with the message you go oh, this is really nice timing, I would like to eat right now. But okay, we quickly agreed that we can live without the chef server for the next few minutes if needed, so we can eat up and come back. And I think also back up at this time Mauro was in the office, so he could take a look at it, what's going on. And then literally the server had stopped talking to us. And that's something that you, at those moments you actually figure out, if the chef server is gone, and you build most of your servers with chef, how do I build a new chef server if this one doesn't even ever come back? So you ignore this fact and you figure out, okay, I have to have backup of this somewhere. We have, but you don't pay attention to this one every day. And then in the afternoon, when we were happily here in the office, funny stuff started to happen. At first we had some funny alerts that payments are not happening. So we looked into our applications, we were everything is happening here. And then we figured out that the data center where we were keeping our log stuff was having serious network issues. It was just dropping packets and connections, and our logs didn't make it through. And Graylog on the other side was screaming I don't get anything. Things not happening, error, exceptions, fix it. And you're there trying to figure out what's even going on at first, because the first reaction is, okay, the service is down. Then you start looking into it, it's okay, the service is actually there, but the logs are not making it into the endpoint. If you look into the actual endpoint, you see this one is actually here. I'm just, for some reason, I cannot transport the data over the internet reliably. And there have been like various issues in the past. Sometimes they really have network issues. Sometimes they are trying out new software in their like routers and stuff. Oh, really bad. And something interesting was also that when they actually like smoothed out the network issues, our old elk stack that we switched away from, that didn't recover by itself. The way that we noticed is that we opened the old Kibana graphs and we saw like data is here, just like cut with a knife, and you can tell like if there were thousands of messages before, and suddenly there is nothing, and the other stack is showing data. It's like, okay, the forwarding part of that somewhere is broke. We had to restart that manually. And the database replicas that were in the same data center, they go down by themselves. You didn't have to go in there manually to restart them. But still, like, the first moment when you get those big beeps on your phone, like, this is gone, this is gone, this is gone, you go like, really, really bad. It's really scary. Friday. We have to generate reports for the business people, so they would have any idea what the services actually are doing. If you have a bunch of different generations of things happening in the house, business people, they don't go into database to make manual queries to figure out if money is coming. So what we do is that we generate reports for them, and the reports are got the warning that, hey, now this machine goes away for maintenance, and maybe restarts on Monday at 1, maybe not, let's see. And you go like, I don't want to play dice on Monday morning. And then you do the stop-start by yourself. And then I was doing work here. That was actually started out from my normal work, was trying to achieve my normal sprint goals. Was clicking around in Route 53, had to make identical set of records to access an API, clicked on create the thing, then copy pasted the values from one thing, start to enter them, hit the button, figured yes, now it's done, and then 1 minute later the phone goes beep beep. I'm like, this is not good. And then it turned out that well, I was thinking that I was doing an alias from one host to another. I actually managed to replace the old record for the thing that I was pointing to. So I had a new record which was pointing at nothingness, and the old API input was totally gone, didn't resolve its name anymore. At least I knew exactly what I had done, so I quickly looked up where the load balancers were located, restored the DNS entry pretty quickly to one machine and then the other one as well. But still, 4 minutes out just for this, not the proudest moment of the day. And by the way, Friday evening, this time at 6 o'clock, I was about to go home. Had to postpone a little bit on this one. But that teacher actually shouldn't really do that stuff on Friday evening. Even if you're really sure, I'm just adding a new helpless API on the side. The Route 53 user interface is not the most user-friendly. I would like to test it out, like lock buttons there that I cannot delete some stuff. But you're in there like God mode, it just goes shoot, bang, bang, and it takes stuff down. Saturday. So, seemed like the perfect Saturday if you're on call. And Saturdays, we're also actually, we are resting, we don't write code, we actually just want to be away from all of this stuff. Not that we have computers, but we have a life, I have 3 kids, house things to take care of. And yeah, it seemed fine day, but then it turned out I was wrong. As mentioned before, on some services we have the checks that you see that something is missing. If you have something that's not critical to your business, that's in the background, you don't have this check like that it would wake you up at night because you don't really care. And you can do it on the next day. But here, it turned out that the message stampers had both died on Saturday morning at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock is a nice time. At this moment, the UTC hits the midnight limit, so that's when you usually want to rotate your logs. And something at this moment totally threw both message stampers offline, and they didn't come back either. So although we had duplication for the service, we thought like if one crashes, the other one still carries the weight. Both are gone. And the RabbitMQ was stuck with 2 million messages. I don't know how many kilobytes each one is, but it had a bunch of stuff waiting. And I was like, okay, that's not good. I discovered this at around 8 o'clock in the Sunday evening. That's like, again, nice timing. Would like to do other things at this time of day. So figured out, okay, I will fix this easy. I'll just restart the things, they will start to work, everything will be fine. Routine stuff. As I restarted the things, thought for a moment, okay, this may cause an issue for the logging system. Then again, it's only 2 machines out of like 300. How bad can it be? Shouldn't be a biggie. Like how much can it possibly be? And also, I was thinking about, okay, does put request into S3, which isn't the fastest service in the world. If you have used it, it has certain latency to it. It just can't overcome it that easily. But yeah, then I noticed that the local file system was starting to like fill up really quickly. Figured out that okay, because it's usually at night time when we do the log rotate, we compress the previous logs that we had. So the disk space goes like a jigsaw the whole time. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. And this time I just had pretty much the work of 2 days on one day. And I then joked in the channel like, I wonder like when are we going to run out of disk space on local machines? But even when this was going on, something funny was happening on the logging front. This is the like volume of our logging messages coming through the system. This is the 300 servers running on their own, and then those 2 kicked in there. So this has like 2 things. First, we know that with the old Greylog we had a serious issue of itself jamming its own services up. And that means that if that happens, I'm flying blind. I don't have any alerting, no nothing. I'm just having to go and manually check over things until Greylog catches up with that stuff. Until then, it gives me false alerts, tells me God knows what, and I have no idea what's really broken. We have a different alerting system for the hardware part, but just not the software part. Greylog is our first tool of choice. We have some stuff on the side as well for some like liveliness of some APIs. But just in general, for the business matrix which show like life is good, I was starting to get worried. But then I figured, well, it seems like it's already caught up. I'm getting new messages over here. A bit suspicious that it's the same level as here, over there. Sort of funny. And then I figured, okay, about, I don't know what's shown there, like 5 minutes or so already catching up. Oh, that's good. Wrong again. Actually, this time slot, I don't know if you can see times here, but actually I was doing this bombarding of ourselves, like internal attack on ourselves for half an hour. Because I figured I will restart the service and everything's super fancy. But actually, restarting the service in both machines was a bad idea. Should have only done it in one and waited until it smoothly comes out and then like hooked up the other one as well. Then this jump would be half of it. Right now I had 2 machines logging as fast as they could, and the reason my previous graph was showing that the bombarding was over was the machines themselves weren't able to send over that many logs to the master service. Okay. We had seen this a few times before, so it wasn't a complete surprise, but still like a bit bad. So here is the network picture from the Greylog side, where we also do like filtering of the logs and stuff. And here's again the usual network traffic going out that we throw into the Elasticsearch, and that's around, I don't know, 400 kilobytes per second. That's like constant volume of stuff coming in. And then here it jumps into 4.5 megabytes per second, and that again, it just goes on there for that half hour. That's a bunch of data that you have suddenly coming in. Elastic is trying to index all of this, and that's actually getting quite a heavy beating. Like, because if you're provisioned like for twice of this, because that's what you expect to get, and then you get 10 times the stuff. The stuff with the provisioning is that you don't want to pay too much for your service that you have laying around. And when you do suddenly 10 times more things, unless you were just previously throwing money around like this, you actually run into the problem that you don't have the capacity to handle all of that. But here, to my surprise, both the new Greylog and the new Elk stack held up. I knew that with the previous Greylog, if I would have had this rates running, I would have been completely out. we have had like spikes like this for 5 minutes because of some batch jobs, and the previous gray log was quite beaten down by it, but this time it held up very nicely, so I was really happy. And that's the picture from the message queue machine. Like after this had sorted out, I was looking like, okay, what's going on in the message queues? And this is the memory graph of one of the message queue nodes. And that's the 3 o'clock morning on Saturday when it started to do this. Here it just started to write stuff to disk because it didn't reliably, like, it couldn't figure out if it fits that into memory anymore, so it started to throw that around. So actually it was visible here, but the anomaly wasn't so big that any of those like automated tools would have told us something is wrong. If I would have gotten this notice here on Saturday, the internal attack on our own logging systems wouldn't have happened. So, yes. But yeah, there was a nice lesson to that, if you see a service time for 3 times a week, maybe you should just fix it and not wait for it. But yeah, then I figured, okay, Sunday evening, all the logging caught up, everything is super fine. I can now sleep, everything is awesome. Because I had fixed everything, right? I had restarted the services, watched the log systems come back, everything was super fine. And then that was 3 o'clock on the Monday morning, which by the way was public holiday, 1st of May. Anyone remembers we had a free day? I hope some of you at least had a free day. But for me, at 3 o'clock in the morning, the phone and beep, beep, beep. I was looking at this like, okay, this full, this full, this full, this full. Okay, so ran into the kitchen with my laptop, grabbed it up, and I was like, okay, message samples out of disk space. Really bad. Are they even working or doing anything anymore? I don't know. What are they doing? I don't know, because I don't see anything anymore. The logs are not written anymore. Okay, bad. And also sleeping at 3 o'clock in the morning is really nice, and you don't get to do it, and you get somewhat sad. So this is just a small graph snapshot from the disk space, and the interval that you see here is 5 minutes. So when I took this screenshot, I did it a bit too late, so the hardware monitoring provider had already compressed their timestamp stuff, so they didn't have the exact sharpness of the stuff here, but the disks on that machine are reasonably fast, and it actually didn't take 5 minutes to fill up the disk. It just had this data point here and the next one here, and figured, okay, previously it was this, now it's this, but actually what happens at 3 o'clock in the morning is log rotate, and on this service it's configured in a way that it does copy truncate, so it makes a copy of the log file, and then truncates the actual file being written to. And obviously, since the jigsaw usually smooths things out, and now I had 2 days of logs uncompressed format just on the disk laying around, I just took the big file and copied, or tried to copy it into another one, ran out of disk space, and then the log rotations process said, I don't have disk space, I give up. But yeah, like for me it was hardware alert, the machine not doing also well. So logging into the machines, figuring out the log rotate stuff, the copy truncate, seeing log files, figuring out how do I get out from this so I lose the least amount of logs possible. Then tried to restart the things, then figured out, okay, when initially this thing was created, the machine, another process had created the file, and actually the app server itself wasn't even able to create the log file. So when I removed everything out of the way, restarted the app server, was like, done! Nothing. Nothing was happening at all. I was looking around what is going on, then looked into the start log of the application. It said, I cannot write the log file, I will not start it. Actually a nice thing to do, because I figured out at some point that the service was still running, I just didn't know what it was doing. I didn't have any logs at all. But yeah, the copy truncate had filled up the disks, had to manually clean it up. Figured out everything, eventually started, fixed the file permissions and things. 3:30 in the morning, I went back to sleep. Awesome. Or less awesome. I really like to sleep. That wasn't really that awesome, and especially on public holiday, you expect that you don't have too many of this. So in the morning, after, in the sense that later on that same morning, woke up, checked the systems for any kind of other anomalous things, Everything seemed pretty fine. Handed over the main on-call thing to Mart. Now I was the backup. Sort of nicer, but I still had all the stuff going on in my mind. What I still have to fix in terms of all of this buckaroo. And yeah, late in the evening got an alert from Amazon saying it the other way that this server right now we were restarted at some point, but you probably cannot reach it anymore. And when I checked it, yes, sure, couldn't access it anymore. Figured, okay, I will do a stop start on the staging server, no biggie. Started with the stop, which usually takes like, if the server is actually more or less fine, it takes like 1 minute, 2 minutes. If it's having issues, it takes 10. And then after 40 minutes, I was like, it's still stopping. I would like to start it back. I don't want to go to sleep before. It's sort of annoying. But after 50 minutes, it eventually died. It was already very dead before, but now it was definitely dead. So I could start it up back. Tuesday, calm day, nice for a change. Back in the office here, sitting on this place. And yeah, developing the fix for the message dumper because it was sort of turned really urgent at some point in time. Like now we should really fix it. Redesign a little bit how the message queue connection, resurrection stuff should happen. And nothing else happened. On Thursday, we deployed the patches to the production message dumper machines. Everything seemed fine. We can't really test the network anomalies that well in Amazon. Like you can try to kill some connection by hand, but that's not the same stuff that happens actually when they switch the load balancer around to another IP and they just start dropping packets. That's different behavior. To mimic that in a way that's actually was producing the original issue was really like out of my scope anyway. Could probably have done it at some point, but it was again, start of month, people beating the hell out of accounting machinery. This time the queue workers were lagging because database was overhauled again, or overtaken by all the queries. And nice thing was to have, at least I was still awake at this time, 11:30 in the evening. Got a bunch of messages on the phone suddenly saying that the application nodes that were connected to the RabbitMQ, which is, I think, probably the biggest part of the new generation services, they all said, well, I lost connectivity to Rabbit now. Amazon was doing some kind of shopping with the servers on their own site. We used their load balancers to get to our Rabbit servers. All the machines are connected nicely, and this thing, message dumper, they survived, they didn't die, and I was like, yes, we figured whatever the issue was on the connection stuff and we fixed it in a way that it worked. There were a few fix attempts before on different reasons. There was also issues with S3 servers sometimes blocking, becoming unavailable and so forth. But yeah, the message dumper survived that day, fine. Thursday, accounting API again was for a while having quite a beating, and one of the API servers ran into out of memory, meaning it just, kernel decided, I don't like this big process here anymore, it just like grown with memory usage over time, just killed it. And when it came back, it was continuing to do the same work, but it was using out of the memory. There was no constant state in the service known to us, so we figured, okay, it leaks memory, and that is one of the not very old Ruby apps, but still a Ruby app, and I lacked the machinery to figure out what's causing the memory leak. So, outcome there. Probably some people could figure it out, but even then, if you figure it out for once, whatever code change that comes 2 months later can reintroduce it. Probably not worth the effort to fix it. You should just figure out how to reliably restart this one. Just to keep the service up and running. Then something that I was involved again with, I was figuring, okay, I have this really safe small fix here for the code that was issuing like think it was some kind of typecasting issue. The server was translating stuff from JSON to Java objects, and one of the translation objects was handled wrong in the sense that it didn't work in the other end. It was causing exceptions, like 2 machines down the road. Since we use message queue systems all over the place, this message here in this app was fine. 2 machines later, that machine died because it didn't like it. Really small fix, you see one-liner. All the tests pass, everything is fine. I will just go deploy, like this. The way this thing was set up was at first it had Nginx machines, and behind those were HA proxies, and the HA proxies keep track of the machines that are actually the application servers, and they both went away pretty much at the same time as far as HA proxy could tell. So HA proxy said, oh, the API is gone now, although the services, like the app service restarted within like 3 or 5 seconds. HA proxy, like for half a minute, said, there's nothing there that I can call. You can call me all that I want. I was like, that wasn't my intention. Small safe fix. I wanted to not break anything. Should actually just have done one deploy, waited, and then done it. So, a small lesson from me. Don't mess things up. The way we figure this out, by the way, is that we have synthetic payments running against our own APIs the whole time. And if the synthetic payment doesn't succeed, my phone goes beep beep again. That's also like in the middle of the night, if something that isn't like a lot of errors, but just let's say something on the database takes too long of time, or RabbitMQ has network issues, packet loss really slow, the automatic synthetic payments, they will happen out really quickly, because that's the same interface that the merchants use. As far as we consider the synthetic is an external entity, it tries to make payments. If it doesn't succeed, it complains. And yeah, at this moment, beep beep in my pocket, so I go like, that's probably me. Sorry. And yeah, about half an hour later, again beep beep saying, this server is now fine. But I don't even remember what kind of server it was, but there was no previous message saying that it wasn't fine. It was just like, now it's fine. I was like, when did I miss it going down? And we actually couldn't figure it out because it never happened. as long as the alerts on anyone's configuration were concerned, at least. We just saw it coming back from the ultimate that maybe some random network issue. Friday, again, one of the accounting machines having performance issues. Again, thanks to the database being overloaded at the beginning of the month. Eventually straightened itself out. And down to Saturday and Sunday, really calm. If you don't get alerts for pretty much 48 hours in a row, none alerts whatsoever saying like disk space is getting full or that thing just failed by random. Like sometimes synthetics can fail by random since DNS is not 100% reliable. It can figure out your API machine name, it will die, you will get an error like, well, some random stuff. Usually happens within 48 hours, nothing. So that's when you actually, again, start to look at things like, there should be at least some kind of beep telling me that everything is fine. Because sometimes also your monitoring bots and things, they fail. And that's when you have to get in there and figure it out. How do you, like, is everything working? You try to either check all the logs by yourself where they're flying. Sometimes you just trigger a random error just to see that everything is fine, that the reported things are working. And you hope that there wasn't just like a black hole in the middle and you missed out on something. But at some times, not having alerts is also an issue. You don't know if everything is working. And that's where I come to my end with this talk. When the on-call is over, and you know that you can switch your phone thing off in the evening so that your alerts don't wake you up, so that your ex-colleagues from your previous workplace don't call you in the middle of the night because they are feeling lonely and your phone isn't on silent mode because you're on call. Also happened, by the way. Then you just go like, I really like to sleep. Then you hand over the stuff to the next person in line. You switch all the alerts off. After 6 o'clock in the evening, nothing even from the chats anymore is coming through, and then you just enjoy the couch and sleep. And I really like sleeping, especially after being 2 weeks, like pretty much high alert. Didn't include everything in the slides that sometimes happens and you don't even react properly because you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and see like server was gone. I will wait just a little bit to see if it comes back and go beep beep, you go, oh, it comes back to sleep. Then you don't have to act. Because then everything that you planned for the automatic recovery that worked. And most of the servers we have nicely duplicated things, so if one of them actually goes down, there is no panic. The other one carries on the work. But if you see both going down, like in the case of message tamper, that's a problem. Especially if you don't know what the service is doing anymore. If you know that something is dead, that's also dead simple in the sense it's not doing anything. Fine. But if something is actually processing some data and you don't know what if it's failing, succeeding, if it's payment-related data, like in this house, you start to get worried. Because you should know what's happening. You shouldn't lose track of anything. And yeah, if you put your phones and things to silent and you can sleep, best thing ever. I like sleeping like this cat there. And I think that was my last slide. Hopefully not too horrifying in the sense that I think we have like 6 or 7 people on our on-call cycle. So between the on-call weeks, we also have like sufficient time off when we can not react to anything. Yeah, like any questions?
Yeah. What type of instances are you using? Because there seems to be too many of those notifications where you see them going blind.
We are running a mishmash of things. Most of the new services we run on T2 micros. Because they use so little memory, there is no point to pay for more. Also, like we have seriously taken on the microservices approach. That things don't do like too many things. One service, which let's say handles payment storage, does payment storage. It takes data from the message queue, drops it into the database, and maybe publishes out. That's the new state that I stored. And that's it. It doesn't communicate to the merchants. It doesn't tell anything to the backend accounting servers by itself. It just says out, I did that thing.
But still, it's too much if you are saying that you have about maybe 300 and you showed us that, I don't know, maybe 6 times you had this machine going down, and because I think we have about 100 and I think we have seen 1 notification during 6 months.
We have noticed that the T2 micros are the most susceptible to the issues, and in most cases where we have to do anything about the machines as the application servers are duplicated, that's not an issue at all. The other node takes over and we actually don't lose the service. Which still doesn't mean that we can totally ignore the things failing, but the service stays up. That's our main goal. There are some other applications which require more memory, some database machines which require more memory, and then of course some of them have totally different characteristics that they need to be able to hold the constant load for a very long time, and then the T2s are out of the picture, then it's down to the R3s or whatever the current use case needs. But yeah, we have noticed that the T2s are the most unstable guys in that sense. They have the most issues.
Yeah, we can discuss this later.
Yeah. Anything else?
How many false positives do you get?
How many false positives do we get in the alerting system? Quite a lot. It's like different reasons why those happen. Some machines, they actually do their work, but they are having issues connecting to the logging systems, so they don't forward their success to the other side, and that's when they are like alerting things consider, okay, that's broken. I didn't get enough successes. On the error side, not so many. Pretty much all the newer applications at least are very clean in the sense that if we see exceptions, errors happening, we actually react very quickly to them and figure out what the hell is even going on. There are also cases which I think quite a lot of Estonian companies don't usually get, in the sense that we have to keep up their connection capabilities to the telcos, all of those 90 plus countries. And telcos also, they have, let's say, sometimes less experienced sysadmins and people who break things. And then our phones again go like, beep, beep, this VPN fell down, we cannot connect there, that thing is broken. And since that thing is broken, now this database is jamming up because it's getting all those things queued up in there. Those things happen on the average pretty much all the time if you also consider in the merchants. It's also like when we actually deliver payments, we give out we give out the notifications to merchants, merchants give services to the users. But in order for that to happen, we make callbacks to the merchants' backend servers, which should be receiving them. But then those guys either have slow servers, they have broken DNS records and stuff like this. And of course, it's directly affecting us because we cannot make callbacks. We have other callbacks awaiting the queues, so forth. Those things, like merchants are in that sense even more unstable than the telcos, because telcos mostly look at whom they hire, or at least have accountability. Often the merchants can be man and the dog company, and he breaks his whatever Ruby or PHP app and he goes to sleep, he comes back the next day to fix it. He doesn't care. Our systems go bang, 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 errors 500 flying around, what the hell is going on here? So yeah, it's a very crowded place in that sense that a lot of errors actually come from outside the house as well. It's not that we have broken things or that our services in AWS or somewhere else are unstable. The other parties are breaking things with their own stuff. And sometimes we get a loss of traffic somewhere, and then it turns out, this big partner turned off their integration because they are having a maintenance phase. But for us, it's payment's gone. What happened? I have to look into it. And then you figure out, okay, this guy they went into maintenance mode. With telcos, mostly they are nice and they foretell us we are going into maintenance at this point in time. Get used to it or behave. And sometimes they say we will go to maintenance in 5 minutes. And then you just hope that you spot it before. And AWS in general has been pretty nice to us in the sense that we haven't had a lot of issues. Sometimes funny stuff like DNS and things failing, but Wahoo Robert there will talk about those after some time, whatever that some time is. Might be 10 or 15 minutes. That's it.
Yeah, but let's have a 5-minute break, stretch your legs.
Yes. If you want to ask anything, I'm around.
And yeah, you can just start to go. Okay, people in the back are talking, but that doesn't matter. Let's see if anyone wants to listen to me. Really excited to see you all here. So, going to hopefully be a bit shorter than Roos, so you can all ask questions and discuss later. But going to probably reiterate some points Roos made and hopefully talk about some stuff that might be interesting. I'm going to start off really easily. CDNs, one of the easiest way to use cloud providers, content delivery network. Why wouldn't you? We have a lot of stuff there and we started using it quite early on. So why even bother with it? Starting from the visuals, this is one of our web pages which is static, and that is what we're aiming for. Milliseconds on top, and the only slow load is actually a third-party library that we can't host ourselves. But you get reduced latency, the edge location is going to be closer to the end user, you're going to get some more security. The cloud provider is probably going to safeguard you from UDP traffic if you're smart, from TCP traffic as well. If you're not smart, then it won't. Cost-wise, it's a double-edged sword. If you have static content, it's awesome. If you have, a blog post page where you have pagination and we're adding a new post shifts every page, you're going to have nightmares as far as cost goes, and not from
shipping out traffic, but actually telling the CDN that you wanted to refresh content. Feature-wise, again, we don't have to maintain it, right? But getting, for example, HTTP2 that we really wanted was, I think, about a year later than we would have liked to start testing with it. So, can be both ways. And also you can use multiple CDNs in parallel if you want even more availability, or they have different locations that speeds. So Microsoft network might be faster in some areas than Google, for example.
Yeah.
Yes, Microsoft. But we host our content, right? But we can't or don't want to host everything. So we have a lot of third-party libraries that we use as well, and probably you do as well. Why wouldn't you use it from the public CDNs? And by public CDNs, I mean like, let's say jQuery, one of the most used libraries. Google hosts it on their public CDN, Microsoft does, Cloudflare does, and I think the developer's hope is that every visitor has cached, because everybody uses it from these CDNs. You get increased parallelism. Browsers have a limited number of connections they're willing to make to one DNS. One host, basically, if you use several, they will make more connections in parallel, basically. And you get compressed and cheap content. You're not paying for any of that. And you'll get, again, the closest download location, which is awesome. With HTTP2, of course, the DNS limit isn't that. And most use Google, not Microsoft. I think because it seems to be the most sexy and Microsoft is evil as people think. There you go. But why shouldn't you use it? Because China. If we have any traffic there, they're blocked. Which is awesome to figure out. So how do you know that the JavaScript library wasn't read? That the visitor didn't access it? Especially when you have very little traffic there. Only a tiny margin of users are from there. Everything seems awesome, absolutely awesome. So to notice it, you would have to compare several data points. How many people visited the site, as in downloaded the HTML, how many actually maybe interacted with the site, etc. So you can't use single data point, it being, for example, Google Analytics, how many visitors, because Google Analytics is blocked. And this code snippet catches all JavaScript errors and sends them to Google Analytics, which is blocked. So you don't really know it. And as far as consumers are concerned, if they didn't get the critical library, they probably are not invested enough to tell you about it. In our case, we were lucky. We had merchants in China who wanted to use our integration. They told us it's not working, and we could work with them to figure out why it wasn't working. So how can you work around it? Even several possible solutions. You can host the library yourself, easiest, right? You can try to find a provider that isn't blocked in China, or you can use both. In this case, try to load it from the public CDN. If that doesn't work, host your own. And my personal favorite is to use a different framework, which is Vanilla.js. So why would you use jQuery? So let's go deeper, because CDN is really easy. There are lots of caches. Like we've been using them for several years, and they surprise us still. Datas. Rose already talked about it. We have a lot of data. I know some of the people in here were laughing at the 400 kilobytes per second or whatever of the constant logs. But that's not everything, that's logs. We have a lot more data. And we're using several data centers, in the sense that we even use several cloud providers. We're not relying only on Amazon. Backups take a lot of what we have, etc. So, in the case where our service is distributed amongst these multiple cloud providers, we actually have an issue of how do we transfer data there. And Roy already mentioned how logs can break your system. So, Yes, that is a historical map of Tartu University network, but from 98, I think. So when you consider, let's say we have a hosting provider in Germany, and we are trying to make it ship something to Amazon in Ireland, which is the main site we use. How many hops does it have to make, and how many of those do you actually know? Yes, you have the database layer, you have the operating system, you have the machine, be it virtual or even hardware, that in some cases we might be using. Then you have the network, then you have probably God knows how many switches, firewalls, stuff like that. Then you have the internet, and then you have the same stuff on the other end. So how many of those are actually under your control? This is a bit later map, which kind of suggests that everything gets more complex, and it will. And as we don't really have much control, a very quick case study of what happened when we tried to cut one service down in disk storage. So we were hosting some historical data in Mongo, which is basically got raw user visitor data from our Android SDK, aggregated it, allowed to do alerting on top of it, and also business metrics. We had decided to remove some of the data, but Mongo is smart enough not to actually give you the disk space back unless you remove it from the cluster and re-add it. So we had 2 nodes at the time, and we wanted to be sure it keeps running, so we wanted to add another node. And we actually had about a week or a week and a half to do that because disk space was really running out. And of course, it was Friday when we decided that we won't be waiting for Monday because we want to play it safe. Yes, Royce was involved, so we can fix all my details. And we couldn't. This was situated in Germany center, and it was about 2 terabytes of data, and we couldn't really provision a new node from that provider because it would have taken time. We needed custom hardware for them. Germans like to go home on Fridays, and plus they actually want us to pay upfront for about a month or whatever. So let's grab a huge instance from Amazon instead. It's going to cost about the same. We can do it on ourselves, all good. Set it up, add it to cluster. It started replicating. It will take time. It's 2 terabytes, right? Let's go home. Right? You went home.
Yes, I went home.
So the replication is chugging along nicely until I think Saturday morning 4 a.m. Because Mongo, when replicating, uses oplog, operations log, to rebuild its syntax basically. And remember, we grabbed a huge instance in Amazon, 8 threads, everything. This oplog rebuild is single-threaded. So why wouldn't you? So God bless those 7 threads that were in idle. And to change this oplog, you actually need to increase the disk space usage, which we were trying to cut down on. Irrelevant in this sense. So change it, restart, and 20-something hours later, we actually had it done. So we had success on Sunday. Why do we work on weekends? I don't know, but now we had deleted some of the data that we had deleted before in this sense. By removing them from cluster, re-adding them one by one, we had success. Awesome. Now came the let's delete the data we actually want to delete now. That took about a week, because when Mongo deletes stuff, it doesn't write during the deletion process. So in order for it not to get behind, we need to do it throttled. Sorry. I was in the other room when these guys were working on it. It was funny all the time.
I was at home, you were in another room, definitely.
Because in hindsight, it would have been cheaper to increase the storage space, probably. But, or not. The database got down to about 200 gigabytes from 2 terabytes, which is awesome. And it's growing again. Now we at least know what to look for. The thing I wanted to stress, though, was that getting this amount of data from one data center to the other took time. And Mongo is not the only one It's probably not even broken stuff, alternative facts. Because Postgres replication uses a single TCP connection, which is bad in itself, but you can work with it, right? That connection is throttled between those cloud providers. Remember all those places I said that we have on the way? Any one of those can throttle you. Can you figure out what is throttling you? Hopefully, but you might not be. AVS instance size defines the network capabilities of this instance. They define it in a very vague way. Low, moderate, high, 10 gigabit, 20 gigabit. What does low mean? Theories. Everyone has theories. Someone is not saying much. There's a thing called enhanced networking that you get when going to a specific node size, which enables some more stuff, which is awesome, but we don't usually use those instance types because the cheapest ones we use don't have it. So for example, in T2 micro, you might have 70 megabits per second. In T2 small, maybe 125. These are burstable instances, so you actually have burstable network as well. You might start off from really high, and then in 5 minutes you're throttled. And no, adding another network interface won't increase your capacity because they've thought about it. Amazon is not saying much. They're saying that yes, in certain cases we throttle ICMP, and that's about it. But an interesting thing is also that whenever you use Amazon security groups, which are basically firewalls, this fact can in itself throttle traffic. So if you have a public instance that has no firewall configured, you might not be throttled at all. We don't use such instances often, so we're always throttled basically. And not to disregard the fact that probably your operating system has limits and your application has limits. So you're setting up a huge Nginx, check your socket limits. Very quick interlude. Won't even read it. No matter of how many phone calls to Indian customer support for Microsoft I made, Microsoft. When you have an account with any service, software as a service, and cloud providers, try to make sure that the accounts are accessible by multiple persons, because one person leaves the company, you might not be able to get the information you need, even if this person is cooperating, because you have removed it from your domain and they don't have access to it anymore either. So we had to write off this self-bill basically in some sense, in financial sense. We couldn't have access to it no matter how we tried. Maybe we didn't have friends high up enough, but that was really nice 2 days spent in talking with the cloud provider. Okay, you're throttled. Easy. I know I'm throttled, I'm fine. But it at least works, right? Ross told you, no, it doesn't. Cloud isn't easy. It doesn't work. It works most of the time. As I was telling somebody here before, on this floor we have a saying that when Ross is on call, the incident threshold is like 200% more or more. I'm right now on backup. I've had 48 hours without any beeps probably this week. So all good. It's not horrible, but everything will fail. Applications will fail. If you're lucky, they will completely fail. If you're unlucky, I think 2 weeks ago, we had an application that accepted all incoming requests, didn't make any out, because it was probably out of sockets. It was using some nifty protocol that we haven't been able to make work for us very well. Providers love crazy protocols. It's awesome. So we saw that everything was nice, but we were only looking at what was processing and saying it was processing, but it was making actually no traffic, so the business metrics were off. We weren't actually making any payments. Again, how you set up your alerts. Storage will fail, always. Instances will fail. Again, if you're lucky, they will die. This is actually good because they won't process that stuff anymore. Network DNS, let's come back to DNS. Availability zones, full availability zones can go away. So 2 zones might not be enough. And again, log forwarding that you're basing everything on. But the nicest part is when your external monitoring providers fail, even if you have several as duplicates, it would take a lot of money, but they will invalid data and they will not alert you. So you need a mix and match of all of that to have some sort of 99 point something availability. Yeah, if your application server has state, then you're in trouble because anything will be impacted, so don't, if you can. A few days ago, yes, I woke up twice, 2 and 2:20, but I didn't do anything. I saw that it was not a critical service, and it came back, and I slept in between. Awesome. And actually the instance completely died, came back, application started. Awesome, right? We have, yes, 300 servers. A lot of them will die. If you have better experience with them, maybe we should compare notes. Are we using wrong instance sizes? Are we using wrong sites or even cloud providers? If that percentage was lower, I would be happier. But the benefit of using these small instances is kind of money, and also that we don't build too big services in this sense that only a part of our service will die if we're keeping it small. DNS. You have a shiny startup. The most important thing is the DNS name. And a very important part of that DNS name is the .loyal domain, because it must be sexy as well. And the cost, but that doesn't matter. It must be sexy. We have made the mistake in the past of going for sexy also. You don't see it reflect anywhere, but instead we are now very much looking at the track record of this. How many failures has it had, basically, in some sense, and how quick is the DNS provider in solving those. The attack profile as well. Like if you're using .io, it's really well known and used by many, and so some people try to bring it down sometimes. But luckily, like GitHub and stuff is there, so probably somebody's fixing it as well. You will have incorrect records distributed by accident or even maliciously. And the case I'm going to talk about briefly is when you have a partial DNS outage. Several months ago in Amazon, we had one zone fail completely as far as DNS resolution goes. And we had small failures in other zones as well, but that was like less than 2%. So one zone, 70 servers gone, like that. But they didn't go silent, right? First they started timing out, because DNS resolution was timing out. So that caused queues in all the other systems. Which, again, okay, fine, we can live with that. And then they started failing fast. So, looking back, yes, first thing was that our synthetics were failing, which is awesome. Everyone should have synthetics for everything. Can't talk about enough of that. First thing we have to do is localize it, right? So, is it full outage? Is it partial outage? Is it related to some specific service? Or, as we in this case had, availability zone? We have to understand the impact. And this partial outage actually impacted also those servers that didn't even need to connect to anything, which was nice. But to mitigate this, yes, we just changed the DNS master server for a while. In 50 minutes, all was good. We can switch it back, nice. One of the things that I think in this case was very important, that a single on-call person shouldn't be in such big outages making all the calls. They need a second brain. If it happens during office time, awesome. We've had 3 or 4 people sit on the couch here and fix stuff where everything is burning. That helps. And also when you are in a hurry, and in this case we were in somewhat a hurry, probably best to record the steps you're taking because you need to revert those. And unless you have a very good configuration management system, how do you do that? Remember, we had 70 servers go down, so how do you change the DNS servers for everyone? As we use Chef mostly, that helps unless the Chef server is down.
You cannot reach it because DNS doesn't.
Yeah, that as well. So, sorry. And in the case of applications where high availability was working well, we can just remove those hurt instances from the pool, like HA proxy or load balancers, and traffic resumes. So, few things we learned. Rabbit consumers must not acknowledge messages unless they actually process them. Just throw them back, hope that Rabbit survives. Anything relying on HTTP has to have very sensible thread counts. For some services we had 5 at a time. So with 30-second timeouts, they were really clogging up everything, especially when they're on the critical path. Very critical components require more than 2 availability zones. We usually use 2. For some, as during the break we talked about, we use 3 or more. But you can't use more usually. And as I said, again, to make the right decision, you need probably many people. In a high impact situation, one person is going to hurt and changes. But maybe I don't need to do anything. You have a very good system. It's really failing over nicely, exactly as you planned. So in some cases, we don't do anything. So basically, internally, we have agreed on some components being critical, others not. So some components can be down for 6 hours, and we're fine with it. So for everyone, it is important to agree on that. Payment processing must work all the time. If a person in Vietnam can't make the payments, or seems to be able to make the payment, then doesn't get the service, is going to be angry, calling everybody and their uncle, and not going to be happy. We can talk to our merchants though. We can tell them that this secondary reporting service, it's undergoing maintenance, it will be back. We'll let you know when it will be back, and we can work with that. So we have basically a plan for both internal and external communication, and everybody has agreed to what is important and what isn't. And that lets you focus on the impactful things. Another question is though how you measure impact, but that's to you. And when Roos is on call and everyone is burning, we don't expect him to tell everyone when it's going to be back and how's it going and what's down. Somebody else is going to be doing the communication so he can focus on actually putting out the fires, which is really good practice as well. Otherwise, he will be focused on settling down account managers in China while everything goes down, which is not the point. How can you be safer? Multiple cloud providers seems like an awesome idea. Why wouldn't you? It will take you time and effort to learn the ropes with one. To learn how it works, what the quirks are, how to do automatic provisioning from code, which is awesome. You have the dependency on proprietary solutions if you so decide to use them. We use Amazon Lambdas, we use DynamoDB, we use RDS, which is easy to move luckily. Bunch of other stuff I would assume. So for us, we're not like we can't move. We probably can, but it's going to be really, really expensive because we've accumulated all this know-how specifically on Amazon, and it's kind of useless elsewhere. Maybe the basics are the same, but it doesn't really help you that much. Too. I know CloudFormation JSON. How does it work in Amazon? Or sorry, in Microsoft? Probably better, but we're not going to know. But we, as I said, we actually use multiple providers, but we're focused on one. If you can somehow use multiple, awesome. You're probably paying someone to take care of it though, by hiding this complexity from you. and we have not found that useful. So for us, it's again, if we have 2 hours of downtime, what does it cost us? Can we accept it? With Amazon, for example, I've taken a look at so many huge companies are using it. There are thousands of engineers who are probably smarter than me. They are fixing it. They are really fixing it, and they will fix it fast. So we had several outages on Amazon during the last 2 years that have been global in this sense. S3 comes to mind in North America that we weren't impacted with, that brought down a lot of software as a service providers. This DNS outage impacted also our partners who are hosted in Amazon, so it wasn't anything specific to us. And the 17 nodes, one availability zone, that meant about 12% of payments during that time period went wrong, which was, we could accommodate that. Going forward, of course, don't deploy on Fridays, right? Obviously, nobody does that. It always breaks, statistically, always. You have enough developers, it always breaks. And for us, we have the highest traffic during weekends. And everyone is tired of the week. So, as Roy also brought out, minor change is just as impactful. Don't do it. If you don't have the time to manage it, don't do it. Everything will go wrong. And when you have microservices, you might not notice immediately. But if you consider why on a Saturday morning at 3 a.m. I would not be happy fixing it, maybe you can do something about it. So for me, it is actually important to be able to deploy Fridays whenever I have to fix it. So if you're not going to fix it, how can you help me fix it? So again, starting from the visual, this is metrics of one application. Something happened here. This is average consumption times, actually kind of showing how fast this application was behaving. There are 2 nodes, red is one, yellow is the other. And here we have basically a percentage of something we consider slow requests, 100 plus milliseconds. Oh, actually for this application it's 40 plus, because the average is 10. And here we have deployment event, and everything is nice again. We didn't really have a deployment event that made everything bad, so it's kind of harder issue. So for me, I need to know that something is wrong. For me to know that something is wrong, you have to build the alerting and monitoring, which you're building actually for yourself if you're an engineer. This has to tell me, because I'm not going over all the dashboards or graphs or whatever every morning at 6. At 6 I'm sleeping. You see, everybody likes to sleep before. If I do get an alert though, I need to understand from it what is wrong, and I need to be able to trace when it went wrong and what could have caused it. So, for example, we use instant messaging for deployment events in addition to the application itself logging when it started up, for example, that we can put on the same graphs. And we have business and technical metrics to help me out here. The microservices, so awesome. I need to be able to trust the master of this component. Actually, I need to understand which component even is broken. I need to trust the continuous integration and tests. And last but not least, I need to know how to deploy this. If I need to actually deploy it, how to restart it, how to roll it back. If it didn't leave me this information, I am going to come to your house. And I don't want application logs. I don't care about application logs. I want metrics that I can read at 1 a.m. when I don't understand anything. And if you fix before me, fine, but tell me, because I will be fixing something that's already been fixed. So, deploying on Fridays, you didn't have to, did you? It's sprint is broken. Oh my god. What happens? You fire? No. Deploy it on Friday. No. Deploy it on Monday. And if you're going on vacation, give it to someone else. Even if the consumer is waiting, the customer is waiting, talk to them. Might help you. See, if you're hurrying, you're making me hurry. The application I showed, I still don't know what happened. Because I restarted it in a hurry, that fixed it. I don't have any heap dumps, memory dumps, nothing. I'm just waiting for it to happen again. Because I was hurrying. I was working on something else. I don't know that. The node didn't go bad. I didn't have to do anything in Amazon. It was the application. Another example, actually Rose mentioned, number of requests failing, notification requests to our merchant, specific merchant, and the average request times, right? So how do we fix that? For this specific merchant, we pointed DNS to localhost. We should have something automatic there, and we do have retries actually, so they got their notifications all good. But again, you can see that these graphs support each other. I can very easily add another graph that I didn't attach here because of sensitive, which URL or merchant is actually failing, and then I can immediately know it's the man with the dog from somewhere. It's the only man with the dog we have as a merchant. But if you give me this type of information, I can work with that. I will not even tell you in the morning that it happened. But I need to figure out how to now pause or throttle this merchant so that I don't have to even think about it, or any merchant. But actually this do not deploy on Fridays is, I think, a nonsense rule. It's just stopping you from making smart decisions. If you're in control, by all means, to deploy. Give me just the tools to support you and go nuts. You have the time and confidence to monitor this change. You have the toolset and procedures for everyone to support it. You should be deploying on Fridays. Otherwise, it's almost a day lost. There are small changes that you can do. Don't deploy at 6 o'clock when you're stepping out at 6:01. Don't maybe do that. And staging might be, but for us, staging these as similar to production as possible. So even no. But the developer is smart and can use common sense. So a rule of don't deploy on Fridays is just stupid, in my opinion. And any screw-ups you actually have, well, you're going to learn from it, right? So if a hotfix deployment is as standard as any other deployment, your process is better. If you know how to revert it quickly, awesome. Yes. One more thing. Something that I learned when I joined. Maybe I had been in the office, maybe even not. We give access to people early on. You should be giving access as soon as possible and as much as possible. So I broke our payments component before I knew anything about the systems yet, the production payments component, because I was joined the chat, didn't know anybody. They were complaining about some performance issues, and I was like, at home actually, I was like, what's all the fuss about? Let's see, does it scale? Is it web scale? 10 threads, fine, 100 threads, I was blocked. Manual I'd be blocking it. It was 1,000 threads, don't remember, but it started bogging down and Marty was really fast there. I'd be blocking, not a good idea, but that was what we had back then. But from this I learned a lot. And I gained motivation to look into this component. Why is it slow? How can I make it better? In the 2 years, I don't remember when we had this very issue there last. We had one merchant launch in a very big country where I saw some kind of, okay, I'm getting to the lowest threshold mark, but I don't worry about it, because by trying to break it and not knowing how it's not supposed to be used, your merchants, your integration is going to be abused all the time. So you can use these new recruits to be these insights. But you have to use this knowledge really fast. In a month, I will know how it works, how it's supposed to work, not how it works, how you're supposed to use it, and I will not be breaking it anymore. So during that really early period, you have to take all the crazy, stupid questions and not tell them it's always been like that, but actually consider maybe it isn't the smartest thing. Maybe the fact that we've taken it for granted that it's shitty isn't the way to do things. And at the same time, you're not working on an unlimited budget, so often it's just a crazy, stupid question and you should be ignoring it. Hopefully you will do follow-up actions though. You will learn and you will change. Oh, I think I cut out some stuff because I was so afraid of running out of time, which I have. But we have more time for questions and maybe somebody wants to do closing words or not. And I hope we all can discuss things. What's working, what's not working. Thomas, do you want to take over?
Let's take 2 questions if you have any. For Mahur? No questions?
Do you have any chat room or Facebook group for onboard DevOps, old friends, so you can change contacts before between yourself in case you get lonely in the middle of the night?
That's the case. I also get calls from my previous company 2 years after I left. So I've kind of left those chat rooms. 3 years.
One more, if there is any. If there are no questions, then thank you all. So, I hope that you had some interesting insights on how them do stuff here. And don't be afraid, this won't be the last event. As you saw, there was number 1 in the title. So we shared some of our pains. I hope the discussions will go on, and you will give us some insights to us. We will give some more insights maybe to you, and we'll definitely want to get together in the autumn again, and hopefully just get in touch with somebody from Fortumo, from here. Most of you have friends, either the presenters or ourselves. If you don't, then you have a chance to mingle. We'll close the office when there are no people left, almost. We'll see. But yeah, enjoy it. And also, yeah, the next time in the autumn, we expect that we won't be the only ones talking about our experience. So we really hope that you will get in touch with us and propose some topics, and we can get other stuff out there too. And there's also one last thing before you get to mingling and eating and drinking stuff. There will be an email from Kathleen there sending you feedback about the event, so you can complain about me or somebody else, or bring out what would you like to see more, less, pizza, sushi, next time, and see you in the autumn, or actually see you in the office. Thank you.